Welcome to Your Good News. Nothing bad on this show, no crime. You won't find anything but things that will make you smile or at least help you find hope and faith in humanity. You know, this world is a rough place and sometimes we just need to hear some of the good things going on. I'm Rena Sargentopoulos and I'm here to help you with that this half hour. Well, it was an exciting moment for a St. Paul priest recently. Father Paul Baker was a contestant on Jeopardy! And he had a cheering section of friends, family, and his church community to watch the episode as it happened. Heidi Wigdahl was there for all the fun.
We want to give you enough time for the test, so we'll just pray.
At St. Agnes School in St. Paul.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Father Paul Baker teaches high school theology. While they're the ones being tested, back in February,
there you are.
The tables were turned.
All the best on your test. I've watched Jeopardy consistently probably since I was a freshman in high school. That's when I really got into religiously watching the show, and I've been a fan ever since.
Now, the school and parishioners at the Church of St. Agnes are watching Father Baker compete.
Father Paul Baker from St. Paul. It was one of the funnest things I've ever done.
Throughout the years, he made it to the final audition 5 times, but hadn't taken the test since 2017.
Once I got into priestly ministry, I sort of thought, well, I'm too busy to be on Jeopardy! You know, what if I go on there and don't do well, and I'm a priest, what will people think?
Oh, we're thrilled. The kids are very excited. They all think he's going to win.
In some ways, I almost sense that our parishioners and students are more excited for this than I am.
Father Baker competed against an 11-time champion.
Sad to say, we were bested by him. He was a very phenomenal player.
And while his Jeopardy journey has come to an end.
Show that as a priest, I can do this sort of thing too, and that through playing this game that I love, I can in some way witness to the truth and the reality of Jesus Christ and his church. It's been a wonderful ride, and I'm glad to be able to share it with so many people.
Amy.
With the black eyed peas.
Yes.
Well, as you heard, Father Baker did not win, but he did lose to an 11-time champion, so, you know, there's that. And Heidi says the crowd watching erupted into cheers when he answered, "Who is Rihanna?" to one of the questions. Well, a true hockey dynasty is underway right now in western Wisconsin. The UW River Falls women's hockey team won the Division IIIA National Championship. It is the school's 3rd consecutive national title, finishing with a record of, get this, 87 wins and just 4 losses over the last 3 seasons. That is a dynasty. And Gordon Severson caught up with the team as they celebrated their latest victory.
They are on a winning streak here at the University of Wisconsin River Falls. Just down the hallway here is the championship trophy for the men's football team, their first championship in program history. This trophy case here is for the women's team, specifically for the hockey team. And this right here is their 2024 national championship trophy, and this is their 2025. And they just got the three-peat. They won their 3rd in a row Sunday night here at home.
In a sport that is all about scoring goals, the UW River Falls women's hockey team isn't focused on setting goals or winning games.
We're about outcomes and not goals, and we just work hard.
Coach Joe Cranston says he never talks to his players about winning. It's about hard work and focusing on one game at a time.
We never talk about we're good or that we're number 1, even though we're ranked number 1 in the country all year. I don't let the girls even say that.
A winning culture that doesn't focus on winning.
We show up every day for each other on and off the ice and hold each other accountable.
Senior Kaylee Nickham says it was challenging at times when everyone outside the team was talking about a three-peat and winning another championship.
It was a little bit more nerve-wracking, I would say, this year.
That's why a culture of hard work made sense, to keep them focused. Ironic that a team that outscored their opponents 5-1 this season is more focused on hard work than setting goals.
They know they have to pay a price for success, and the girls work hard. So I tell every recruit, if you don't want to work hard, then this is not the place for you.
And it's very possible this winning streak could continue with 7 seniors going out of the program, a few more players coming in. They could be adding a few more trophies to this case over the next couple of years. Gordon Severson, KARE 11 News.
Well, now to the academic side of college. Getting through law school isn't easy, but for the recent graduate you're about to meet, easy wasn't something she was accustomed to. But as Boyd Hubert reports, perhaps it's precisely those difficult times that helped set her up for something special.
A fresh coating of snow has frosted this place, like gingerbread. But the first time she arrived here, life was not so sweet.
Hello.
For Zarina
Hi.
Sementelli.
Sometimes things can be so far removed that when you come back, you're like, wow, this really happened. I really did make it from here.
Here is the Salvation Army's Booth Brown House, a shelter for homeless youth.
Might as well start upstairs.
11 years later, Zarina is back.
It feels almost full circle.
Back in a room in which she'd sit with open books.
I was studying for the ACT.
Back in familiar stairwells and hallways.
Yeah, this is where we did our laundry.
But to fully understand Zarina's journey, let's go back even further.
So my father was never in the picture, and then my mother, she has severe mental health issues, so she didn't work. Every year, it would just be kind of time to move to the next spot. When we got evicted from our house when I was 15, and she moved to Seattle, and I know she didn't have a job or a place to live, so I knew that they were going to be moving there to live in a shelter.
School was the one place Zarina found stability, so she stayed behind, couch surfing at the homes of her Como Park High basketball coaches and teammates, until the unsettled seas of homelessness carried her here.
This was really the first place that I felt like home.
Zarina at 15, her first day of 2.5 years she'd spend in this room.
Thank you.
A room she's now re-entering for the first time since she left.
When you go from living on someone else's couch, I cannot articulate how important this space was for me.
During the day, Zarina would take transit between school, her job, and grocery shopping. At night, she'd return here to study, which, it turned out, would pay off handsomely.
I remember being right here, opening up my Spelman acceptance letter, and just feeling so blessed.
Georgia's Spelman College, from which Zarina would graduate.
I applied for hundreds of scholarships.
Debt-free.
Hi, Kaden. I'm Zarina.
Now
Nice to
she's
meet
meeting
you.
the current
How long have you
occupant
been living
of her
here?
old room.
To see you as just a young person, just, trying to make a way is really important for you to believe in yourself. Can I hug you or? Thank you.
Believing in herself, Zarina attended law school in California, graduating last spring, passing the bar last fall. But that's not all in which Zarina believed.
When I felt I had nobody on my side, when I didn't have parents to call, I got on my knees and I prayed. And I didn't grow up in the church, and a lot of people doubt God. But when I needed God, God was always there for me.
And she's not done.
Stronger and stronger and stronger. You with me?
Yeah. Air Force officer training, Montgomery, Alabama. Zarina's next stop as she works to become a military judge advocate general.
Definitely remember being in here.
But this stop on the tour is one Zarina insisted she not miss.
So this was my previous case manager, Natalie's office.
Natalie no longer works here, but in this space she helps Zarina set goals and find tutors, health insurance, and food assistance.
My name is Zarina Sementelli. And
Natalie,
I was a resident.
who Zarina recently addressed.
Ms. Bogdan was especially helpful.
In this letter she sent to Booth Brown.
I would be extremely grateful if you could share it or pass along my message of appreciation.
Zarina,
Hi, Zarina.
here's one better.
Hello.
It's so good to see you.
Look at you.
From homeless 15-year-old to law school grad doesn't happen alone.
When I graduate and I pass the bar, I'm like, wow, I wish I could just tell Natalie.
Oh my goodness.
The mentors in my community, they didn't just see a homeless youth that had no future. They saw a person who needed help.
Fresh blanket of snow and the warmth of home.
I was proud of you then, and I'm very proud of you now.
Boyd Hooper, KARE 11 News, St. Paul.
Well, after what she went through, Zarina told Boyd that she will never stop looking for opportunities to help other young people the way she was helped. Congratulations to her. Still ahead, 2 incredible stories about people who were in the right place at the right time and saved someone else's life. Welcome back. These next stories are about people saving lives, being in the right place at exactly the right moment. And we start with an incredible story of a 4th grader who will blow your mind. Riley Mack has that story.
If life were a movie and things were scripted, then Logan Vangemer would play the role of our unlikely hero.
I had to learn CPR to get it.
I was wondering what I was going to say to him.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm just going to say how I feel. And I said, there's my hero, as he's walking through my room door.
Every hero has their origin story.
We were doing worship.
Logan's starts at church youth group.
Yeah.
Logan is one of our students that comes to the class.
Tom and Beth Adrians were filling in as leaders that week.
Mm-hmm.
I literally saw him collapse on the floor.
I was worshiping, I had my hands up, and then I went down.
He hit a chair and he was bleeding.
There was blood dripping down from his forehead. And I said, can somebody help me roll him over? Logan was right there and he says, I can. He's little for his age. And so I thought, there's no way.
God gave me natural strength to roll Tom over.
He just grabbed him and we got him on his back.
That must have been really scary.
I was crying because of my worriness that he wasn't going to survive.
I did one compression. I mean, this is my husband of 45 years, right? I just threw my hands up in the air and I said, I can't do this. I'm going to be a widow. I am a widow now. And I'm going to have to learn how to rely on God myself without him.
Until.
And then what did you do?
Like something out of a script.
I performed CPR on him.
Everything lined up exactly when it was needed.
I had learned it just the day before.
He says, I can, Miss Beth. I know CPR. Logan literally learned CPR the day before.
The youngest the American Heart Association says a person can typically give successful CPR is 9 years old. Now take a guess how old Logan is.
I'm 9 years old.
There's too many variables for it to be a coincidence.
Call it coincidence.
The fact that he had continuous CPR, 6 minutes, made him so that he does not have any brain damage.
Call it fate.
Definitely a miracle story from
Logan
start to finish.
Definitely.
Has already made up his mind.
What made you decide to act that day?
The Holy Spirit.
They come visit me in the hospital. I said, you're my hero.
A hero to Beth and Tom.
We're talking about perseverance. Raise your hand if you know what perseverance is.
And a hero to them.
But your school had somebody actually have to use CPR and save somebody's life. I want to bring up our friend Logan Vangemer. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
How does that feel?
It's very, very special.
If life were a movie,
I am really, really
the author of this script
honored.
Chose the right hero.
I wouldn't take all the credit for myself. I would give most of it to God.
That's what we're talking about.
He's 9. Logan told Riley he wants to grow up and be a firefighter so he can continue helping people. Of course he does. Well, weddings can be magical family experiences, but for Kyle and Alexandria O'Donnell, it almost became a tragedy. Thankfully, when Kyle's dad, Jack's heart stopped at the rehearsal dinner, the right people were in the room at exactly the right time. Here's Lindsay Buckingham.
It was supposed to be the happiest weekend of Kyle and Alexandra O'Donnell's lives.
We had 243 people coming. The standard rehearsal dinner Friday night, big wedding, and then reception Saturday.
At the rehearsal dinner in Little Italy,
I said a few words just real briefly, thanking everybody for all, putting up with all the group chats and the craziness of being in a wedding.
His father, Jack, gave a welcome toast.
To the happy couple, cheers, we love you both.
Then suddenly,
my dad had one sip of wine and then he was unresponsive.
What happened next would depend entirely on who was in that room.
Good friend of ours is a cardiac nurse.
Right place, right time.
He came over and took my dad's pulse and he said, I don't feel any pulse.
On a day when father and son should have been celebrating side by side.
We moved him to the floor and we just started our compressions and rescue breaths.
Kyle and his brother Connor worked on their dad for more than 10 minutes.
Yeah, the situation was very dire.
Before Jack was rushed to university hospitals, still with no pulse.
And we had to resuscitate him to get him in a stable condition.
Jack made it through. Dr. Mehdi Shishabor, president of UH Harrington Heart and Vascular Institute, was quick to point out why.
We sometimes like to take credit. The credit really goes to his kids.
Something Jack learned when he woke up.
There was a male nurse in the ICU, and he said, I have to tell you, your son saved your life.
That night, Kyle and Alexandra faced an impossible decision.
I think at like 1:30 in the morning, I kind of broke down, and we were just kind of sitting there crying because we didn't know what to do.
About their wedding they'd been planning for months.
Allie's mom put it into perspective. She said, listen, it's not about you anymore. It happened where it happened and when it happened because he needed the people around him.
Right place, right time. Though their wedding reception would have to wait.
This is what we have to do in marriage anyways. We're living our vows before we've even made them.
Yet they did get to make them the very next morning.
We did go ahead and get married in the church.
The private ceremony live streamed right to Jack's hospital room.
I felt like I was actually there.
Still in their wedding clothes, there was only one place the new couple wanted to be.
I don't even think it was ever said out loud, we have no choice, we're gonna go.
Alexandra gave their first dance music to a nurse at UH.
When they opened the curtain, it was already playing. It was beautiful. It was so emotional because obviously we've not done our first dance.
My mom was sobbing, of course.
Jack was released 3 weeks later, the gift of a second chance, because on the night it mattered most, he was surrounded by exactly the right people at the right time.
In the end, we are so incredibly lucky. It's a miracle. We never take that for granted.
It's kind of life's way of showing us, hey, whatever is going to come in the future, you guys are going to handle it.
Lindsey Buckingham.
To think I was that close, I'm pretty fortunate.
3 News.
So not only a cardiac nurse, but Kyle and his brother Connor are also police officers. So they have ample training for these kinds of situations. Still to come, we're going to meet people who are inventing new things and preserving old ones. Plus, the boss gets a star at First Ave. Welcome back. 2 U of M students have created their own alternative to alcohol, mimicking those popular seltzers. As Joe McCoy shows us, it started in a classroom and will soon be on store shelves.
Students across the University of Minnesota are bubbling with bright ideas.
You can't help but be optimistic when you're around these kids.
But 2 students are going a step further, taking their bright idea from the classroom to the real world.
Charm started in a class at the Carlson School of Management called Entrepreneurship in Action.
Meet 2024 graduate Della Damel and current senior Josie Miller, the co-founders of Charm Social Tonic, a non-alcoholic alternative to your night out.
When we've been talking to people, people are saying oh, this is really great because it looks like I'm holding a seltzer at a party. And so it's nobody's asking me about why aren't you drinking tonight?
A 2025 Gallup poll showed only 45% of U.S. adults consume alcohol, the smallest percentage in 90 years. Della and Josie sought to fill a gap in the market.
We wanted to put good ingredients in there too. So we use real fruit juice, real fruit extracts.
Last year, the 2 entered Charm into Minnesota's largest entrepreneurship competition called the Minnesota Cup and ended up winning the student division. That's when they knew they might truly have something.
So we were really intentional with what we put into Charm. We developed the product formulation on our own. We did a ton of research, as Della said, and just did a ton of testing.
It's really all about the team.
John Stalvig, managing director of the Carlson School of Management, was one of their professors.
They're really trying to kind of change behavior and fill a need that they feel personally.
Charm is now available online and starting next month will be available at Top 10 Liquors.
Sort of our strategy is to really have a big presence in the Twin Cities community and sort of be Minnesota Twin Cities brand.
2 students that took a bright idea and are turning it into much more.
Sure, we want to be as big as we can possibly be.
The drink also includes adaptogens, which are herbal supplements that the 2 say can reduce stress, boost your mood, and enhance focus. Sounds pretty good to me. Invention, now preservation. America, of course, is built by people who do the invisible work, so the rest of us never miss a beat. Riley Mack introduces us to 2 of them, the men behind a disappearing trade, traveling all around the state of Michigan to restore a specific piece of history inside our churches. Their story will be music to your ears.
Before a wedding.
Yeah, I'll grab the keys.
Before a funeral. Before a Sunday morning hymn.
There, Bill.
They arrive, breathing life into the still air of the church, not through a pair of lungs.
We use wind to sing,
but through a different.
The organ pipes use wind to speak.
Organ.
A pipe organ, you can feel it. To watch people's faces light up when the instrument is played, it makes you feel like your job means something to somebody.
You've heard of the American dream.
Yeah, my name is Bill Swem.
Now meet the guy living his...
I am in the organ maintenance business.
Pipe dream.
I never thought growing up that it would be the job I would do, but my grandfather worked for the Michigan Organ Company. I can reach it from there, yeah. And then my dad followed in his footsteps. I just kind of grew up in it. I'm still here.
Here.
In a moment, you'll hear us tune these.
A place where Guy Vanderwagen...
She's being cantankerous.
...combines work...
Sometimes that happens.
...and play.
I started out in the pipe organ business working with his grandfather back in the early 70s. I have been playing for 57 years, longer than I care to admit. Oh my goodness. It moves you like nothing else can. They're called the king of instruments for a very good reason.
A reason that makes Bill's work flood in so fast it's practically biblical.
It used to be I had 70 churches that I would do. Now I've got over 200.
But as he nears retirement, he can't find anyone to carry on the tune.
There used to be a lot more guys that did it, but they're either retiring or have died off.
Nobody's coming up to replace them, so it's going to be a problem.
I feel bad for some of the customers because they end up having to wait so long for me to get there.
Like an art conservator would come in and restore a painting, we have to do the same thing with organs.
If churches can't find somebody to take care of the instrument, eventually it becomes unusable. A lot of churches are abandoning it.
Okay, Bill, I think we can tune.
We've salvaged a couple that they were just going to throw away. But I'm getting older and I can't keep up with that anymore.
After the wedding, after the funeral, after the Sunday hymn,
it's used to celebrate life.
The air leaves the organ like breath leaving lungs.
It's a beautiful instrument.
A trade disappearing into background noise.
And I want to preserve that.
Or maybe just a song, waiting for its next note.
I hate to see him lost.
Well, the boss was recently in town, not just any boss, but the boss, Bruce Springsteen. And the star got his own star on First Avenue. Here's Sammy Selena.
A new star has emerged.
I'm from Sweden, and Bruce brings me here.
On First Avenue.
So this was my 102nd concert. So
Bruce Springsteen concert?
Yes.
And fans have been taking selfies all day long.
Yes, who isn't a fan of the boss?
Corey Lidstrom, owner of Indie Painting, had the honor of putting it up.
You know, he's certainly got a prominent position, right?
After First Avenue decided he deserved a place.
Streets of winter's ice and cold. Down Nicollet Avenue.
We had an Ice Out benefit concert here. The song that he put out was amazing, and the impact that had, just kind of showing the world a window into what was going on here in Minneapolis.
Well, he gave this interview recently to the Star Tribune, but he talked about how significant that was. I think he said it was like the most significant show he'd ever played.
Stephen Hayden is a music critic who wrote There Was Nothing You Could Do, Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA.
What was striking to me was the anger in the show.
When the sons go off to fight to put their lives in a war.
Stephen was at Springsteen's tour kickoff in Minneapolis, days after the rock star performed his anti-ICE protest song at the flagship No Kings rally in St. Paul.
2 dead left to die on snow-filled streets. Alex Pretty and Renee.
He's always talked about real-life issues in his songs, but he's not always necessarily being as specific in attacking an administration, I would say, as he is on this tour.
Absolutely. Say it again.
Again, whether you love him or hate him, you aren't indifferent to Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, he signed my arm in New York.
So in more ways than one,
So I run and get the tattoo the day after.
the boss has left his mark. Sammy Solina, KARE 11 News.
The last artist, by the way, to get a star on First Ave was Lizzo, who had hers added last year. Well, that's all for your good news. We do hope this half hour gave you a little bit of joy today. And until we see you again, have an excellent week, friends.